What if the problem isn't just broken systems, but broken thinking? The tracks beneath us were built to move us forward, but not everything old is worth following. The real revolution isn't only in technology, it's in how we think about leadership, purpose, community, and what really means to move society forward. E-revolutionary is a break from the status quo, a challenge to the way things have always been done. And in a world where technology advances much faster than policy and institutions, we're going to be talking to all of those leaders brave enough to challenge the system from within and serve something greater than themselves. This isn't about waiting for change, it's about making it happen. It's time to think differently. It's time to lead differently. Rethink everything. Welcome to the E-Revolution.
What if we had something that gave them the confidence to take the step out onto the playing field? We want freedom. You can't take that true vacation when you're putting out fires. We as small business owners are very isolated, very lonely. If you want to change your community, be a part of a community. Don't do this alone.
Hello, everybody. This is Tony Selvaggio, and welcome to E-Revolutionary, the podcast, a place where revolutionary people come with revolutionary ideas, and they're the ones that are actually making it happen. This podcast is produced with full refurbished technology, secondhand technology, bringing it back to life. And that's part of the mission of the podcast, is to shine a light onto that. And today's guest is Shane Smith. Shane brings a perspective that comes from the intersection of academia and real world impact, working hand in hand with the entrepreneurs that are making it happen. A lot of institutional knowledge, but a lot of applied knowledge as well. Definitely a ground for revolutionary thought. Shane, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Really excited, and I really love you keeping your theme with recycled devices, everything. If you guys could see behind the cameras, you'd be looking at cameras that are being repurposed right now. It's really amazing.
You know, it's crazy what other people think of trash, what it can really mean for somebody else, right?
Yeah, this is great.
Shane, thank you for being here, man. And our journey began it began a while back.
Yeah, we're looking at coming up on 8 years ago.
8 years.
8 years.
And we started working together because of your involvement with FSU and the Jim Moran Institute for Global Entrepreneurship.
Correct.
Awesome program, awesome opportunity that you have to impact the community. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Jim Moran Institute for Global Entrepreneurship, let's just first off say you are definitely more global than we are. The Institute, or JMI as I'll refer to it, is a nonprofit organization, as you said, that is run through Florida State University. Jim Moran himself was a self-made entrepreneur. He was a billionaire back when that B word was very uncommon. We know his legacy now through Southeast Toyota. And he made his legacy through that. And this was one of the many ways he gave back to the community. His foundation is still very heavily involved with child and family services, but being an entrepreneur, this was one way he could give back to other entrepreneurs. And since his passing, his wife, who helps run the foundation, made sure that his legacy remains tied to entrepreneurs like ourselves. So
very interesting, because I think Jim Moran was one of those first iconic American entrepreneurs that gave a different shift into what giving should be like. Not just writing a check, but creating a foundation for thinking and for free market to develop.
Absolutely. He, again, being an entrepreneur himself, he saw the struggle He saw the struggle that it takes for all types to become successful at starting and running a business. And one of the unique aspects that JMI has evolved into is not just really helping out the startup, but helping the business owner, the entrepreneur that's been in business for years now. We have, people that applied to go through the program. There's no revenue requirement to it, but what is required is we serve the entrepreneur that has a business that is at least 3 years old and has at least 3 employees. And so what this means is we're serving the person that has been doing it from day one. Maybe they were a solopreneur when they first started. Now they've hired on some employees, maybe even a part-time 1099, whatever it is. And they've been doing it for a few years. They've proven their concept at this point. But they find themselves still tied up in the day-to-day operation a little too much. This is not the dream that they started with. They started their dream not only serving people of what their function of the business is, but maybe having a little bit more success behind it. And success, when we take a step back, is not just the amount of money we're earning, but the economic freedom, the temporal freedom, all these things that a true entrepreneur really wants. Money is just a tool to gain us freedom. And if all we do is focus on the money, we might not be truly successful. And so what we do is we offer them additional education at no cost to them, but a time expense. Because when you went through it, it still holds true today. Here in the Tampa Bay region, we have 8 class periods over 4 months and 4 hours per class period. And for a small business owner that's trying to make it and feels like they have to be there on the daily, on the hourly, to put out fires, to answer all the problems, to make things happen, to close the next sale, stepping away is very scary for them. But once we know that they're willing to do that, we know that they're a lifelong learner wanting to grow their business. And that's what we help them do, pull them off of the hamster wheel and allow them, I like to say, pull them off the battlefield and put them up on the hillside in a Jeep like a general, calling the shots, not fighting the battles.
Easier said than done, right?
It's true. We have our own issues, even as what we're teaching. We have our own issues doing and taking our own advice. So yes, it's very hard.
Well, because I think that one of the challenges that you have is that you're trying to conceptualize what it is to help a growing entrepreneur. Because, I mean, I'm sure you have access to a lot of mind-blowing data.
Absolutely.
So if you can share some facts and data that put your work in perspective, that'll be awesome. But also, not a lot of people focus on how do we elevate somebody that's grinding and potentially can burn out.
Yeah.
To how do we put them in a strategic position so they can hire more, so they can grow, so they can scale, which is ultimately good for everybody.
Absolutely. And you brought up so many good points and questions there. One is we look at this as economic development. We cover the entire state of Florida. We're headquartered up in Tallahassee with FSU, but we have a location down in South Florida, which was where Mr. Moran was located, and the operations are still headquartered. We have an office up in Jacksonville, which is where all the cars and parts would come in off the ships. And then 7 years ago, almost 8 years ago, they decided we need something in Central Florida. And so they came and they found me, and we opened it up. And Tony, you were part of Class 1. When the audience is going to experience this episode, we would have already closed out cohort 14 and already filled the seats for cohort 15.
Wow.
And it really is amazing the number of small business owners that cannot grow because they are their number one employee. The more time you spend in your day-to-day operation, that means there's less time for you to scale the business up. But there are so many reasons that we find, both through research and our own personal experience, that hold that person back from stepping out of their own operation. And quite honestly, ego isn't often a big part of that. They feel they have to answer every sales call or be there for every close. No one can do it the way I did it because I started this X amount of years ago. I love my staff, but I am the person behind this. And that, surprisingly, is often the number one thing. But when they learn the techniques, the strategies, the processes, they start seeing that, wait a second, I can do this. I can remove myself a little bit here and a little bit there. And it takes a process. We see a lot of our graduates, our participants that have moved on years later saying, I'm still implementing everything that I've learned in the program. It's not easy to do it all at once. They consume it all at once, and then they often build a list of everything that they want to get done. And every year they do that, they remove themselves a little bit further from that daily automation. My favorite testimonial from any of our graduates, and I just had one last month, she stopped me at a luncheon and she said, Shane, I just got to tell you, myself and my husband and our 3 children took a 2-week vacation. And I'm like, that's exactly what we are aiming for, because so many of us got into this back to that freedom, whether it's financial or temporal. We want freedom, and you can't take that true vacation when you're putting out fires, even sitting by the poolside.
Right.
You're putting out fires, and your significant other's mad at you for doing work on vacation and not spending time with the kids, right? And so when someone like that says, we took a vacation and we put it all behind us, we're able to separate from our business for that span of time. That's what I want to hear.
You mentioned something that is so interesting, and I'm happy that now we're starting to see more conversations about that, which is the topic of mental health. And, when you're talking about your ego being involved in what you're building, your company is also an extension of yourself. One of my favorite quotes from Brian Tracy is that the first million is the hardest one. Yes. The second one is inevitable because of the person that you had to become to get to that first million. And when you're talking about when you're talking about how do you measure success and being able to take some time off and remove yourselves from the business, it comes with a lot of also personal growth to allow you the opportunity to set everything in place, right?
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head. And in fact, our curriculum is very organic. We cover basics, but we also incorporate certain topics that we think are more relevant at the time than maybe they were years ago. Right now, part of the Tampa Bay Jim Moran Institute curriculum, we have an entire class day, one of 8 days, dedicated to mental wellness, because that is such a critical factor. We always used to be on 100% of the time, and many of us are still that way. How do we deal with that? How do we not only deal with the actual pain, but how do we not allow symptoms to even occur in the first place? So we have a class where we bring in some experts that come in and we work on mental wellness, because it is critical. In many of our cultures, especially if we bring in sex in the equation here, the male is often, taught as a young child just to rub some dirt on it and it'll be better, right? But you got to move on, kid. Don't cry, stand up, move on, right? And we know entrepreneurship is not an easy road to take. We are going to get knocked down. We're going to get black eyes. We are going to have some hard days, hard months, maybe even hard years. And yet we're expected to get up. We have responsibilities not only to our family, but our extended family, who are now our employees, our staff, our customers that we love and care so much dearly, that if we can't deliver to them, what happens to them? There's so much that we carry upon our shoulders. So having that awareness of that there are other options. And I brought up the sex issue, male versus female, because I've seen firsthand that female entrepreneurs have now put themselves into the role and tried to emulate as much as the male entrepreneur, because it's been a divided thing. There have been so many more male entrepreneurs historically, at least in this country, that now when without further support, a female often feels like they have to act like the male does. And I've been told that I need to rub dirt on it, not let it get to me. And that's wrong. So now we have everybody feeling that we just have to deal with it and bury it deep within inside us, and not deal with it in a what should be an emotionally intelligent way. And so, yeah, we spent an entire class just on that, because it is part of the journey of an entrepreneur.
It's very interesting. And one of the things that that connects, from my opinion, when you're talking about putting those issues out there and connecting with your peers and other professionals that are also in that same journey, and then perhaps are experiencing that same level of pain.
Yeah.
That's one of the benefits of the program. And I think that right now, because of technology, because of community, we can connect differently.
Yes.
And it's creating that fertile environment for people to express themselves, other people to take note, and, create that empathy.
Yeah.
And on that note, how have you seen the evolution of businesses from not only from the point of academia trying to make sense operationally and how to make businesses better, but really how people connect through their businesses? How have you seen it from your perspective?
Oh, it's been amazing. We've gone, as you said, through an evolution. And let me just, that connection of putting entrepreneurs, small business owners in the same classroom for very long, extended periods of time over and over again, creates something magical. And it really is the secret sauce to the JMI program. We, as small business owners, are very isolated, very lonely. Even when we have a large staff of employees, even when we have a very supportive spouse at home, we feel very lonely. Even when we go out and we do networking events at chamber events and the like, and we connect with other business owners, that is even at a very shallow level. So when we put people in a classroom for that extended period of time, we're giving them the opportunity to really get to know each other, but also get to the point of comfort where they're celebrating and commiserating through those highs and lows, perhaps for the first time ever, certainly for a very long time. We saw this change a great deal. So I opened up this office in Tampa Bay before the pandemic. That happened, and then the pandemic happened. We didn't want to stop our existing cohort at the time. So we went on Zoom like everybody else did. And then we had to go halfway through another cohort starting off on Zoom. Those two cohorts, while still amazing, they missed out on something because they had to get to know each other or continue their relationship in the virtual world. When we got to go back and in person again, it was 100x more powerful. That connection of being around someone like me is just that much more rewarding. I talked about the significant other. People can be empathetic to our highs and lows of running a business, but the fact that they're not walking in our shoes, we're smart enough to recognize that, thank you, hun, but I need more. Right. Somehow. And that's kind of what we provide. And let's be honest, education is free these days. Education is available everywhere. I could go to YouTube and learn a great deal that every a college degree seeking student is paying for, I can learn on YouTube. I can pay $9.99 at Udemy, right? I can get my education, but that secret sauce is putting people together, learning together. I call it walk with me, right? Conmigo, right? Let's do it together. And when people, as a business owner, feel so isolated and now all of a sudden feel connected with others like them, no matter what the industry is, it's amazing. And they get so much from that.
Very interesting. Very interesting. I think more than anything right now, humans are craving connection at a way deeper level. I think that the needs of us have evolved so much in such a short amount of time. You hear things and they're hard to put in perspective. Like I was reading about scientist John Kurzweil. Maybe I'm butchering his name. John Kurzweil talks about the idea of the singularity. So the singularity is sort of the evolution of machines and what a world with a lot of input coming from machines would look like. And he says that the next 100 years of technological evolution is going to be the equivalent of the past 1,000 years.
Wow.
And it's hard to really conceptualize what that means, but we're seeing it. We're seeing it in systems evolving at a rate, but humans and how we connect the dots and how we do business developing at such a different speed. Governments not being able to even keep up with the creativity of business people. What do you think is going to be a key factor for you in the next 5 years as you're not only building and shaping the next generation of JMI, but also for you, at a personal level?
Well, first off, to answer the JMI side of things, it's keeping that in-person component there, because that is something we're not replicating virtually through AI or anything. I use my AI for a lot of personal conversations, but I know who they are. I might get lost in that story a little bit here and there, but I know that it is not a human being. I know that it's not a human reaction in an authentic way coming back at me. So number one, JMI are, we may scale to a point where we may have options that are no longer in person, but I believe it will always be our root offering that we give the opportunity for people that need that in-person connection, because that goes back even with beyond that wellness topic that we cover in class. Even if we didn't have that, we're serving that need by offering this in person. So technology is going to help us improve a lot of our curriculum, our development, our programming, the way and what we are teaching our business owners, because that is a big focus. There's one class day where we borrow a little bit from Tim Ferriss from 4 Hour Work Week to eliminate, automate, and delegate, right? And that's part of removing ourselves from the daily operation. And so right now, a huge component of what we teach is AI. And we're not talking about give me a 30-day content calendar for social media. We're talking about help me go through my emails so I don't have to. We're talking about creating SOPs via AI as opposed to having someone manually do it, etc. So we're using it, and that's only going to continue to evolve to make our businesses more effective and more efficient. But yeah, JMI is always going to be that element. Now, on the personal side, I've been using a lot of these developments in my own personal world. I brand myself as the nice guy entrepreneur, and my mission there is to make entrepreneurship approachable, because especially people that are in their midlife, 40s and 50s, a lot of us almost 60% of the people, research shows 60% of the people want to be an entrepreneur, but yet only 92% of them never do.
Wow.
Yeah. So 8% of that 60%.
So basically, out of everybody that wants to be an entrepreneur, just 1 out of 10,
Yeah,
probably the ones that are actually going ahead and doing it.
absolutely. And that bothers me.
It's terrible.
Yes.
Because then you look at the success and failure rates.
Yes.
And you know, the numbers are not really working there when you have a country that's driven by entrepreneurship.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And we've kind of gotten away. In fact, when I graduated college a good long time ago, I was cultivated to go work for the big box corporation, right? The Michael P. Keaton effect, going to high school with a briefcase, working for that, building up that image of working for the big corporation. So I'm glad we're seeing a shift of attention back towards entrepreneurship, and especially in the university system where we're cultivating this. But working with, and being an entrepreneur myself, but working with existing entrepreneurs, I realize that so many of our entrepreneurs out there are not filming themselves in front of a rented Lamborghini in a neighbor's mansion, trying to act like they're all, bropreneurs or whatever. The salt of the earth entrepreneur that exists in this country and so many other countries are down to earth people. And I've found through my own research that of the 60% that want to become an entrepreneur, and then the 92% of those that don't, often didn't have that one quality or characteristic of having the guts to put themselves out there. We, including myself, play it safe. We take the job that has the steady paycheck so we can put braces on the kids. We build up a college fund. We pay for the mortgage because that's the safe thing to do. Instead of taking those risks. We know we want to help others, but there's such a big risk. That's what the term entrepreneurship means. Willing to take a risk in the efforts to earn something more, right? But that often is the only characteristic that they're lacking. So what if we can overcome that one characteristic? Because these people are often the most brilliant and genius-minded individuals out there with the biggest hearts of wanting to serve people, planet, or puppies, right? Why can't they become entrepreneurs? What if we had something that gave them the confidence to take the step out onto the playing field and let their qualities really rise instead of them regretting those years of inaction when they're on their deathbed later in life, right? That's who I want to serve.
Very true. And I think it comes down to just access to information and education.
Absolutely.
I think that to your point, we get so busy with the day-to-day. Life is lifing. And we, especially here in this country, which is something that I've noticed that it's baffling how your mindset immediately shifts and life just goes, and it's very hard to find the time to pursue the really important things.
Yeah.
How are you making that? Well, obviously JMI is a great resource.
Absolutely.
But how are you carrying that mission? How do you turn that revolutionary idea, which sounds simple, but a lot of simple ideas, when you apply them, they become revolutionary? How do you envision creating that impact?
Taking everything I've learned and experienced throughout my life, it's almost as if my steps in life have put me in this place to borrow all these concepts, to put them all into the same recipe, bake it, and develop something new, something a little bit more revolutionary. And what I mean by that is take what I've learned from education. I've been a college professor for 15 years before I started doing this. And now working for JMI, I see the power of a cohort, which simply means putting a group of people on the same road together. So while they might be different and unique within themselves, they're on the same road to their similar destinations. And so taking that and taking what I've seen that the regular entrepreneur isn't that bropreneur, isn't that shiesty hustler or whatever, or super strong personality individual, but just a regular neighbor person that that has the wisdom and experience working for 20 years. They have what it takes, but how to pull them out of that, how to pull them out of that day-to-day operation of just running their business, of being a husband or a wife and a parent, and an employee, right? And to me, that's putting them in a community of people like themselves. And it's not just education, but it's also mindset as well. So it's not just having the time. It's difficult to find the time with family responsibilities, perhaps, and work, but we often use time as an excuse, I've found. And it's really about our own mindset and fears. And we have to come to terms with that. So myself, with the Nice Guy Entrepreneur, we tackle those fears. In fact, I have an online course that addresses this in a very unique way. When we're our own boss, we have to be our own sales force as well. And selling is one of the biggest fears we all have. And so we start with a course called How to Sell When You Hate to Sell. And that usually resonates with a lot of people because they know that's been one thing that's holding them back. So yeah, when you put people in a safe space and make them realize that it's not the carrot of, hey, you could earn $1 million in 1 year if you become an entrepreneur today, or the stick, if you don't start running a business now, you'll fail your family. It's something more relatable. Don't walk because you might earn this, or walk because you got to move from where you are. It's walk because we're walking along with you, and we'll do this together, and you won't feel alone. You'll get support outside of your day-to-day living. And here's another little fact, since you wanted to hear stats. That surprised me when I first learned it. The average age of a new entrepreneur is about 45, 46 years old. I had always envisioned this 20-something, being the overrepresented, age group. The average age is about 45, 46. And then those above that age are 2 to 3 times more successful than entrepreneurs below that age.
Such an interesting point of data. Why do you think that is?
Well, obvious clarity, experience, and knowledge. We have a lot of entrepreneurs that are on the younger side that are doing amazing things, but a lot of them fail because they don't know better. They had the gumption, which is very important. On the older side of things, we have the people that didn't have the gumption to start, but now they have the knowledge and wisdom, and they're more worldly of what's going to work, what the market needs, big factor in starting a business. And they have that. Now they just need someone to give them that support.
Right. Life experience. You
Yeah.
can't take that away. You can't take someone else's stripes and hours invested.
Right.
So through the process of making entrepreneurship more available and accessible and dumbing it down and helping people realize that probably it's more accessible and reachable than they thought it was, there's a process where you spark the curiosity of people, and then that curiosity, that all of a sudden accessibility becomes the trigger for them to change their life. But also it helps shine a light that maybe entrepreneurship in your head might be too romanticized. And there's other paths that can also give you that sense of success and purpose. To close out, what would be a message that you would have for those people out there that are listening and that maybe are intrigued with this notion of how to sell when you hate selling, and they're maybe just trying to find more, they're trying to find purpose, they're trying to conceptualize that potentially that revolutionary idea that can change their life or that can change the lives of their community.
Yeah.
What do you want them to know?
Yeah. If you want to change your community, be a part of a community. Don't do this alone. Put yourself out there, find a community group, and get out of your house, get out of your office at work. Don't rely on your friends and family to be the support group, and put yourself around others that are just like you. We want to change things in this community. We want to change things at our state, in our country, in our world. If we sit back and rely from the status quo, we will remain where we are. So put yourself in a new community. Put yourself out there. The more you're exposed to new things outside of your existing world, the more opportunities and ideas come your way. And that then comes into courage and confidence and the comfort to take action.
Simple but effective.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Shane, thank you for doing what you're doing. It's such an important part of our ecosystem, knowing that there's support, knowing that there's people. A lot of us, we don't know what we don't know. And if we haven't experienced that, then it doesn't really mean too much unless you go out and, like you said, put yourself out there. And once you do, knowing that on the other side, you're going to find a good ecosystem, a good, group of people that are going to be there for you and actually do what they said that they were going to do is what's needed in that consistency of doing it as long as you have and knowing that you're just getting started.
Very true.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. If you like any of the content that you saw today, please like, subscribe, comment, share. Help us ensure that all of these revolutionary ideas get to the people that need to hear them so we can keep improving our community. Thank you for watching.